Hi, everybody. Welcome to Queers and Soaps. I'm Tommy, and today I'm joined by Dayna and Gregory.
Hi.
We're back after a few weeks break for our My So-Called Life Gone Too Soon segment. Tonight we're discussing episodes 10 and 11. So I'll roll the credits and we'll get into it. So I like these episodes. Did you like both of them? Did you?
The episodes were great. It was just
he's always so hesitant to watch it, especially more than one, because he's just like, I can't deal with the angst.
Mm-hmm.
The angst is too much for me.
And I'm like,
it's so cringe.
Correct. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Episode 10 is called Other People's Mothers.
Mm-hmm.
And so remember when I brought up how it's almost like everybody's going through a similar thing at different points in their lives? So we're dealing with Angela basically falling in love with Rayanne's mother, or with the illusion of what she thinks Rayanne's mother is.
Yeah.
Or lack of a mother, but a mom still.
In her own way, I guess. And it was... and then we have Patty. Is that her mom's name? I think Patty.
So, yeah. Yeah.
Her parents' 40th wedding anniversary. So her parents are in town. So I was like, oh, great, we're going to see the dad. I wasn't really a fan of him and how he treated her last time he was around. But he was having some tests done to make sure his health was good, and all was good. They are supposed to be having a party at a fondue restaurant, and Angela's all like, I hate fondue. I always lose the bread.
It
wasn't that bad.
Oh, it was.
No, it wasn't.
But I mean, can't we say that we've all been like, ugh, do we really need to go to an online, like a family situation? Do I have to go? Like as a kid, like think about it. Like as a teen, where you're like, I'm dying to go to this family's birthday party, where like I have to sit there and pretend like, where they ask you how's school, like it's I get the about it, but that her mom just needed help. Like she was getting dumped on, like quite literally by her own mom.
Right, she was already rearranging the candlesticks in the living room.
It was two separated back down to.
But I love how the dad was just like not dealing with that. He was like hiding upstairs. Like he wouldn't go down to deal with her.
I will not go down there. I won't go down there. And she begging him, like, please save me from her. No, I won't. I thought it was hysterical, though, that the minute he realized that she was in the kitchen,
touching his stuff. That's his domain.
He got up and ran as fast as he could.
Oh, hey, I didn't know you were here. Oh, it's hysterical. I was like, this is married life for sure.
But prior to all that, Ricky and Rayanne are hanging out at Angela's house, and they're going through her refrigerator. And Angela has to be critical of her mother. She's like, don't leave the refrigerator door open. My mom could like
sense the temperature degree change of 42 degrees. And how Rayanne was talking about how you could really tell a lot by a family and their refrigerator and their leftovers. And I have to say that was actually just for a brief second, just like pausing it for a second. That's kind of brilliant. Like you really tell a lot about a family by just opening up their refrigerator. Like right now, mine is packed and disheveled with leftovers because I can't let go of anything.
But definitely I think that's very true. But like the situation with Rayanne is kind of starting to rear its ugly head a little bit more and more.
So she grabbed the beer. She's like, your mom's not gonna count the beers. And I'm like, again, she's got a drink.
And we're talking about it. So we're assuming it's right after school. So let's say it's 2:30, 3 o'clock.
Mhm.
And she already busted open a beer, which means she was jonesing for it.
Yeah, and why did Ricky have it? Was he just like
They
holding
were
it
just
because
because
her
it was
hands were
just
full with the food or whatever? So her
Yeah. And he always does this thing where he's like making excuses for her or like kind of trying to get her to chill. Like there's been a couple moments where he's like, "Do you need to drink some more? Like, was that really necessary?" Kind of making little comments here and there about like that. So I think he's like trying to be like, not like,
maybe that was also him being like, maybe if I just hold it for a minute, she'll sober up
or forget about it,
yeah, like,
or
yeah.
be less
Yeah. Well,
drunk.
whenever you've been at a party with someone's like getting particularly messy, and if you tell them to stop drinking, they're gonna get loud and obnoxious. So you kind of try to. Okay, so like if anybody, this is like literally anybody who knows anyone has a drinking problem in your life, this is kind of what you do. You kind of slowly take it away without like trying to bring any notice to it, like taking their drinks, doing a little bit of this, and go, oh, here's your cup, like.
and hopefully they forget.
Right.
Yeah, you're praying that they don't notice you doing it, but you keep just, taking one, taking the next, and just tossing it out each time. Mm-hmm.
But of course, Angela's mom comes home and catches them. Well, not catches them, she sees them holding the beer. So it was this weird, awkward moment where she was trying to scold Angela, but she kept seeing Ricky and Rayanne staring at her, and like she couldn't bring herself to do it. So she was like, "Can I just talk to you in the kitchen?" And I literally thought Angela was like, "I wasn't drinking." I thought she literally was gonna be like, "Smell my breath."
No, she was just like, "Oh, Mom."
All I'm gonna say is that Angela is lucky as hell, because if my mother, who was a working mom, who came home at like 5:00 or like 5:30, 6:00, walked into her house and saw her underage daughter and her friends holding a beer, the whole house would have exploded, literally exploded. She'd be like, first off, everyone needs to leave except for you. And then I'm going to literally dress you. She would have dressed me down in front of everyone. No problem whatsoever.
Yeah.
And then she would have kicked everyone out. Not a problem. The fact that Angela got that gentle parenting of like, can we not do this, please?
Yeah.
I don't want you to do it. Moment was like insane.
Because I feel like she's already walking on eggshells because she feels like she can't win with Angela ever. So she's probably trying to do the soft parenting thing because she doesn't want to further put a wedge in between them.
Yeah.
So Ricky's like, "Your mom hates me," and she's like, and the beer just kind of like sealed that deal because he was the one holding it when she caught them.
Poor Ricky, I swear to God, like immediately taking it right to the soul. Like, just that's it. It's over for me. I had to do this for my friend, and now I'm like,
So
mom hates me.
Patricia's mom convinces her to let her have the party at the house.
I don't think there was that much convincing.
She was just like, "Oh, it'd be nice." She was kind of hinting at it, like, "Oh, it'd be nice if we could just have it here." And then the mom's like, I love when she went to talk to the dad, and he's like, "No." And she's like, "Yeah, it's just," and the whole turkey thing. What was it? She wanted like a fat-free meal, and so she didn't want the skin. Like, you can't have the bird without the skin. That's where all the flavor is.
And the really interesting thing is that I think if I heard it correctly, because it stuck with me a little bit, which has nothing to do with the storyline, but more to do with the time that this was written. It was because his sugar was up, and they were worried about the fat in the skin, and the two are not together. It was something that just stuck in my ear.
Right. Well, so the grandfather, the dad, he's diabetic. So he's in the hospital because he's got diabetes, and they want to put him on a very restricted diet. It's like I think it's type 2. Type 2 is incredibly, that. And they're like, she's like, well, if the doctor doesn't let him out. And like, why would we be at the restaurant? So she's doing that mom thing where she just like floating things out there, like talking about her strife and how it's so tough to be in a loud restaurant with her father and all that stuff, and that it'd just be nice if we were in a nice quiet place, like your home. Yeah,
So
walked right into it.
apparently Angela's really good at making doilies and
Streamers.
Oh, streamers.
So the mom
The
asked her to do
streamers.
that for the parties to help decorate the house.
Mm-hmm.
But
Yeah.
then we find out that it's Rayanne's birthday and she's having a party the same night at her house.
Yeah.
But not before Angela goes to Rayanne's house, and she's like, going to somebody's house for the first time is like going to another country. And the mom,
And of course, it's like, yeah.
I thought it was a different actress, honestly, because I felt like she was portraying the mom differently than she did during the gun episode where she met Angela's mom at that PTA meeting.
I think her hair was pulled back. She was wearing like a tighter mini skirt,
but even the portrayal felt different. Like I felt like she was more like twitchy, like Rayanne is the first time we met her, and here she was more like chill. Oh, she had a margarita in her hand every time. Like,
yeah,
what got me
well,
is
of course,
that's her daughter drink. No questions asked.
Well, okay, so like, of course, like this is like that. I mean, I've been at homes that are similar to this, like where the like parents are probably just overworked, and I'm gonna give her a little bit of the benefit of the doubt, like that maybe she just got a lot going on, and her kid she's not paying attention. Is quite basically what it comes down to, and like the house is just so laid back, like that she's used to rules and regulations and structure and schedules and blah blah, because it's like what kids need to thrive, mind you. Yeah. And she goes into this other world where everything's freedom and you go with the flow and you just let life happen to you and it's fine. There's no no structure whatsoever. And like, of course, Angela's like, this is the best. Yeah. Oh, I trust her. It's like, what?
She reads tarot cards.
Yeah.
Rayanne and Angela are kind of obsessed with the death card. Rayanne's like, death. Like she like wants to get a tattoo of the death card.
Yep. Yeah. Yeah, because it's angsty, it's cool, it's edgy. We're cool and edgy, and death.
So Angela's mom comes to get her at the house, and I took note that the mom was like, do you want to drink? Like, to the mom, like, she just wants everybody to drink. And she like wants to get
trying to be hospitable, like trying to be, but that she knows what she knows.
And
right, exactly.
She wants to give Angela like, I guess, a beginner's guide to tarot card reading and like a stack of cards to practice with. And she like hugs Angela like in a loving way. And the mom's like, she doesn't hug me.
Right. Like, well, of course, it's like that same thing, like where a kid would never act the way they act with you with anyone else. Like they'll disrespect you, do all kinds of mess, but when they're with a complete stranger, for some reason, they understand the word no and like are respectful. And I don't know how I would be able to live, because if I was this mom, if I was Angela's mom and I stood there, especially the whole adoption thing, I probably would have died. Just my whole heart would have been broken, because it's kind of like watching like the person that you love kind of love someone else in real life, what feels like love someone else in real life, and you're like completely shattered. I would have been shattered. There was no way to keep a smile on my face. I would be buckets of crying. You're like, you don't love your mother anymore. Like, it's so unfair.
Yeah, I forgot that was like the thing that came out, that she knows about Angela's mom's adoption.
Yeah, like Angela kind of used it as like a reasoning for why her mom's so strict, because she's trying to explain away, because like apparently it's not cool to be strict, I guess. But they're not strict. That's the whole thing. Her mom's not strict. There's nothing strict about her family. Right. It's literally just structured. It's a structured family. there for her. The end.
And a little crazy at the same time.
Yeah, they're not they're not like, I don't know, like the worst of the worst I've ever seen parents can be. Like,
Yeah.
ones would literally put them down by minute of like every single thing they're doing, and you would never be able to breathe without their permission, let alone go to someone else's house at any given time. You know what I mean?
And even when the parents put their foot down on things and they're adamant about certain things, they understand the importance of allowing it to happen and eventually change their mind. Not because the child is in control, but they understand how everything is
right. Right. And I think a lot of this, like, Angela is a teen and she's like becoming more self-aware of like the world and around her. So her parents are like one of the only examples that like show how they can realize that she needs to explore like the world to understand like how it affects her. But at the same time, they need to do it in some sort of like safe space that she will push against no matter what like happens. And it's frustrating to watch her shit on her parents like that.
So we find out it's Rayanne's birthday because she gets a birthday card from her father who's not in the picture, and he sent her like $250. And she doesn't I feel like her heavy drinking in this episode was her trying to like deal with the fact that he's not around, and she didn't want the money. She literally is going through her purse at school and the money's just like falling out and like all over the place. And Ricky's like, what are you doing? He's like, I'll keep it if you don't want it. He's like, buy something with it. Not alcohol. He's like, maybe a leather jacket.
Like, you get new shoes or get more new makeup. That stuff goes dead, like expires.
Makeup expires.
Yeah, he said makeup expires.
Yeah. Oh my God. Like, see, Ricky is the realest one in this episode. He is like by far the best friend anyone could ever ask for. That's just it. Like, he's number one for me, really. It's like, oh, he's so good. He's a good guy. He's a real good guy. Legit.
I noticed that Brian was not in this episode, and neither was Jordan, which was weird. Not that Jordan says much ever, but like,
no, like literal one syllable per episode.
So Rayanne decides that she's gonna have a party at her house, which looks so small. It actually looked like it could have been an apartment. Not really sure.
I know it was a little.
I thought it was an apartment. So buzzing, the buzzing to like get in.
Yeah, she makes like a million flyers, and she's basically just like throwing them at school to anybody. She's like, no losers, no dorks, and just like where anybody else can come.
She was also drunk at school.
Yeah, he was like, is she drunk right now? And I was like, she's always drunk. I've been saying this. I think that's why she's so erratic. She's drunk.
Right? He calls her out in the bathroom because he's like, how much have you had to drink, Betty? And she's like, I'm just doing whatever I'm doing. Like, you know?
And what's her name? The Angela's ex-friend. Sharon. Sharon actually sees her buying bottles of liquor out of somebody's trunk at school. And she's hitting up people like to bring drugs to the party. There was a hilarious moment. There was a girl telling Rayanne about the party, and she's like, I'll get you in if you maybe I can try and get you in. Like, she's like, to my own party.
That's a good party.
Yeah. Well, that's what she said. She's like, this is turning into like a whole nother level. I literally just got invited to my own party. That's crazy. Like, this is happening. And it's like, okay, again, these are another moments where I'm like adult hyperventilating going, oh my God, this is so dangerous and bad. Like, let's not do this, you guys. Like, oh.
So Angela tells her that she's not going to be able to go because that's the night of the anniversary party. And she's like, no, it's cool, whatever. She kind of gives her a guilt trip and
then turns the corners like, I'm a bitch.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh my God.
So I thought Rayanne's mom was on board with everything because she was like, if you're going to drink, I'd rather you drink at home. So I thought she knew that this was the type of party it was.
No,
I also probably.
She probably thought like she could hold her liquor. She projected adult, not standards, not values, adult control on children, and that only ends in disaster.
Yeah. Yep. 100%.
So,
but that's an irresponsibility on her part, though, too.
Absolutely.
It's like your kid's still a teen. Like,
period. Yeah, right.
Yeah.
I'd rather you drink under my. I know you're going to drink, so I'd rather you drink under my roof where I could keep tabs on you.
You're not there. That's the whole thing. You're not physically there.
Not there at all.
Meanwhile, I swear, every time I see Danielle, the little sister, I'm like, this girl is going to need so much therapy when she gets older. The parents literally ignore her. They don't pay attention to her at all.
She pulled up the dead card, the tarot dead card, and she's like, I have a dead card. And they just...
I think she is the best character, too.
She's literally like, ask me a question. What's the question? What's the question? And then I didn't pay attention
Yeah.
to her. She literally had a moment where she was just like, is Angela the only one in this house that's allowed to have feelings?
Mm-hmm.
Because she didn't like what she was wearing. Her grandmother said she looked like Pippi Longstockings because she had her little pigtails.
Right.
And she was like, I'm going upstairs to change. And Angela's like dressed for Rayanne's party. And because she thinks she could do both. She could like just pop into Rayanne's, come back. The mom's not really happy about that. Angela actually in her narration says something like, she's almost disgusted with her mother because she's like, she's so busy faking being happy that I think if she was actually happy, she'd die. And we kind of see like the slow, like, you know, because she's being a host to a party. So of course she's talking to everybody. She's like, how you doing? Smiling. And Angela's like, she's so fake. I hate that bitch.
But see, that's what I'm saying. Like, she's so ignorant and immature. Like, that statement alone, like, yes, it's very true. It's very sad that her mom has to perform happiness because of the mess that's always going on around her. But you know what would have made her happy is if her daughter actually helped her decorate, like she said she would. And then, like, maybe if her husband wasn't being so wishy-washy and then, like, you know, just supported her and just kind of did the thing. Same thing with the youngest.
Off the no
one.
Yeah. So the grandmother's there. The grandfather's not. He decided he didn't want to come. Everything's fine. He can come. He just doesn't want to. For their 40th anniversary. And the grandmother's like, fine, I'll have more fun without him. She's like, I don't have to worry about him. She's like, I can do what I want. And
my whole thing is like, what?
Graham's like, what do you mean you're not coming? He's like, I altered the menu for him. And she's like, well, now you don't have to worry about his dietary restrictions.
And he's like, I have been worrying. You took the skin off of the turkey for his diabetes.
Like, I felt for him so hard when he's like, the meal has been made. The meal has already been made without the fat, without the sugar, without all the stuff. Like, what are you talking about? He's not coming. Like, again, I would have slammed the door in my own mother's face if she said that to me.
Yeah.
Slam. Like, I'm not doing this.
She picks up oregano to add to his recipe, and he's like, do not add that.
Wait, I didn't
and
see
she's
that.
Just like, okay.
I must have.
And she's like, oregano is like the universal seasoning. Like, it goes on everything. But she put it back, or so we thought.
I didn't see that. I must have turned my head for a second.
Yeah, she started putting it back in the container, but something happens later.
Full rage. See, that's how fist fights happen amongst family members, right? Like, that's what happens when an old woman gets punched. Like, so, you know, you read those headlines like, old woman gets punched in the face by son-in-law or some shit. And you're like, oh, how could that son-in-law do such a thing? This is how. I would punch a woman square in the face. Like, you gotta be kidding me. Because you mentioned enslaving.
You're not allowed to add oregano to my mother's tomato sauce.
So Angela throws a fit in front of everybody that she's going to this party. She's like, she doesn't understand why she has to be there when the party that it's for is it like the person's not even here. So she's like, I'm going, and she goes.
How did she get there?
Tino probably. I don't know.
Well, like the whole scene kind of plays out where like she comes downstairs, she's dressed in a party garb. Her grandma goes, "Oh, this is an interesting outfit," and then of course she starts to slip out that like, "Oh, there's this other party I want to go to," and then grandma's kind of like, "Why don't you go? What the hell? Why are you here? You're supposed to be with your best friend." Like blah blah, and literally usurping, like doing that thing where it's like the mom set a boundary, she set a hard line, she said no, and like grandma just kind of goes, "Whoop whoop, bye 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 bye." Again, disrespectful.
There was a scene with one of the guests where they were talking about Danielle. They were like, I thought she messed up her hair. And the grandmother was like, no, that was the other one.
The gossip. It was absolutely unhinged. Like the way my mother, like I was just literally sitting there thinking to myself the whole time while this is happening. My mom would have never let me speak. Like she would have just been like, grab my face and like push me away. Like it would have been like no, none whatsoever.
So Angela ends up showing
At the
up at the
party.
party. Rayanne is trashed,
Oh yeah.
drunk out of her mind, popping pills in
Yeah.
secret in the bathroom. We find out
Yeah.
ecstasy.
Yeah.
And then her mom comes home and is just like, everybody out. And this is how we find out she was not on board, because one, she was mad. And two, she says, this is what you call having a couple of friends over for drinks. And that's when I was like, wow, she's really okay with them drinking. But her reaction also at first, before I realized she didn't know like that it was going to be like this, I was like, did she okay this party when she was drunk? And now that she's sober, coming home from work, she's like, what the fuck is that going on at my house right now?
100%. You nailed that. I didn't even think about it from that perspective, but
Because in every scene
absolutely.
she had a margarita in her hand when she was prior to that.
Yes, correct. Eagle eyes. Okay. I mean, I saw the margarita. I mean, I saw the margarita in like a couple of scenes, but I wasn't like thinking she was like, especially in the first set, like she was sober, but she's just doing like. I mean, she could have been on the little, you know. But a second time when she was there putting the streamers up, oh, full on. She was totally wasted.
Yeah.
I never thought about that part. I thought, okay, she probably thought, okay, she's going to have a couple friends over. Even if it does kind of get a little louder, there's a little bit more. It's no big whatever, do your thing. I think she was really mad about coming home to that mess because not only is she coming off work and she could potentially be sober, and of course she can't do that. Also, she had somewhere to go, and now everything's a mess.
Yeah.
It was an inconvenience for her at the same time.
Yeah, that. Exactly.
I guess she was going to work, or maybe she has a second job and she had to change.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, she had a date.
Oh, it was a date.
I thought it was a date.
Okay.
I gotta go see some guy. I don't know what the hell's. I didn't even think because I was so kind of like appalled about how like she's literally watching her daughter kind of overdose, like because she's not responsive like at all.
This was really hard to watch. The way she was throwing Rayanne around, who was like shit faced, grabbing her by her face, being like, I'm going to take care of this tomorrow because you're too drunk right now to deal with. And just like, literally just like throwing her on the floor almost.
Right.
That was
and
really
not only
hard
that,
to watch.
Right. But she also walked into her room where a shirtless man could have been assaulting her. She walked into the room. There was a grown shirtless man in her teenage daughter's bedroom while she is dead to the world, essentially. And she couldn't even think, not even any of that register other than, don't touch my daughter, get out of here. And then just goes right into how the house is a mess and she's got to go on a date and now she's got to, and literally leaves like 5 seconds later.
So initially, because he was shirtless, I also did think that maybe he was taking advantage or there's something sexual was going on. But I think Rayanne said something. I think he was doing the tattoo. Because she mentioned something about the tattoo as he was being kicked out.
Whatever. It was a grown man.
So yeah, that was a really rough scene to watch. And then she leaves, and Rayanne is like ODing on the floor.
Yeah, literally. And like, and her mom just kicks rocks. Bye. See ya. Yeah.
So Ricky and Angela are like, she's cold. Her breathing's very slow. They're like trying to get her to drink water. They keep slapping her. They're trying to get her to stay awake. So then Angela's like, Angela ends up calling her mom. And I love how when you need your mom, it's mommy.
I know what to do. What do we do? What do we do? I know what to do.
Again, like, this is literally right after all of that mess. Like, all that stuff that she, like, when she said in her head about how it's like, oh gosh, I bet my mom would be happy if she's not pretending to be happy. Blah, blah, blah. And it's just kind of like, and because Angela doesn't know what she's doing ever. Like, she doesn't. And her mom comes in clutch. And also, Ricky, again, is the realest one. He's keeping Rand awake.
Right.
Like, understand, like, he clocked her being way too drunk right off the bat. Like, he was trying to keep her together and, like, out of, like, mess the whole party, which Rand was not a part of that plan at all.
Right.
And then, like, yeah. And Angela did the right thing. And here comes mom saving the day. Quite literally knows exactly what to do, which was wild. Also wild.
I've definitely said this multiple times. Her internal monologue, her last 5-minute monologue by herself, or the mommy, kiss me, hug me, I love you, mommy, still does not cancel all of her other angst up until that point.
No. I remember. Never forget.
So Angela, Ricky, and the mom end up going to the hospital. The mom asked Ricky, like, what did she take? And he knew that she still had one pill left, so they gave it to the EMTs. They had to pump her stomach. Yeah, her mom's a mess because, like, granted, I'm sure that's what parent wants to hear, that their child's in the hospital and they had to have their stomach pumped. But she just immediately changed the tone of the room, screaming, throwing herself on top of Rianne, who needs rest right now. She just had her stomach pumped.
I know.
It was just so, like, it made me very anxious. I was just like...
That's why I could only watch that one episode.
Yeah, me too. I mean, honestly, like, the whole thing, again, it's like making things about her versus her daughter. Like, she comes in and goes like, oh my God, it was so scary for me. Oh my God, I had to come here. The cop came and found me. Oh my God, my daughter, blah, blah, blah. And it's just kind of like, bitch, get out of here. Like, another woman saved your daughter, your two teens and another mother who you all pretended like was some fuddy-duddy, too strict, whatever, saved your daughter's life.
Right.
Like, where's the gratitude? Did you notice that? Like, at no point did she go, thank you so much for being there for my daughter. I don't know what I would have done. None of that stuff. It's all about, like, my daughter. How could this happen to me? Blah, blah, blah. That woman could go somewhere else. And I feel horrible for
She's lucky Child Protective Services didn't take her away.
It was slightly implied by the police officers had to speak to her a second time, but then nothing, we don't know what happened there.
Yeah. I have a weird feeling this might come back a little bit.
You think?
Yeah, like, I feel like there's got to be, because I've had a feeling about Ryan's drinking that there was going to be some sort of climax eventually with it, that there's going to be something that happens that's so bad, or she gets so drunk that something horrible does happen to her or around her, and she's too drunk to deal with it or something. So, like, I'm assuming that's what this is, even though it feels kind of weirdly like she escaped by, even though she did OD for the most part. Like, she's in the hospital and everything. There hasn't been a lot of consequence, just not so much that I can tell just yet, but yeah, I think mom's gonna come back around, probably be nasty, because when people get caught out on their shit, they just get nasty after that.
And I this is not to negate the importance of this or the severity of this, but since this is the first time that we're seeing it, fortunately for her, the first few times you luckily skate through death before it eventually puts you in a position that you're not in control.
In the hospital waiting room, Ricky and the mom, I think Angela goes to the bathroom or something, or to get water. So Ricky and the mom are alone, and he says something along the lines of, do you know what it's like to, like, love somebody so much and see them doing something that's going to hurt them, and you just want to protect them? And Angela's mom's like, yeah, because that's what it's like to be a parent. Like, so she's just, yeah. And she's like, I know you weren't the one that was drinking the beer. And so that's kind of like, I don't hate you moment. So that was a good moment for Ricky.
Yeah, because how do you come into a scenario like that where you see like them desperately trying to help their friend and like think that they're anything but good kids, like ultimately at the end, because you know people can just walk away. They could have literally left that apartment and she could have died, and that would have been it. And who would blame them because they're teens? Like, what would they know? You know what I mean?
So in the car, they get home, the party's still going on, and I was like, still? I was like, we're still gonna go inside and continue this party. Like, what time did she OD? 6 o'clock at night? Like, like the party is still going on.
It was fast. Yeah. Unless the old people, they be partying up.
But in the car, the mom is like, you did the right thing by calling me. And she's like, always do that. Always call me. And then she's like, God, Mom, all right. She's like, I want you to promise me. She's like, I promise. And then she tells Angela that she wants...
How did you know what to do?
Yeah. How did you know what to do? And she tells Angela that in college, she had a friend that was her roommate that was very much like Rayanne. And she actually ended up dying.
That's heavy.
Yeah. So Angela goes into the party. The mom says, I just need a minute. And then we see the mom, like, she breaks down and she cries in the car. I don't know if that was just the culmination of everything between the daughter and having to deal with her mother, dealing with the father, and remembering her friend died. Like,
Yeah. I really, really wanted this moment to be for Angela, kind of like moments that happen where you realize that your like parents aren't super beings that just know or do everything correctly, that they're humans, that they go through things, they had lives before you were in them. Like, you know what I mean? So like, I don't know if it really happened because of the way she reacted about like, oh, well, you know, like she watched her mom save her friend's life. And you're telling me she couldn't at least go, of course, I'll always call you.
Right.
You know, like
this was
I will.
serious. This was a serious moment where there's a truce for a minute.
Oh, Ricky went
right.
to the party too. They brought Ricky to the party.
Yeah, and they send him inside. They're like, go inside.
This isn't
have
awkward.
some food. Relax. Like, try to relax, I guess. Because, again, this is traumatic for literally everyone involved. Even though mom was super cool and calm, collected, obviously, towards the end there, it was very traumatic. It obviously ripped up, like, a ton of things that happened in her life. For all we know, she could have been there when her friend died. So it's like, this is, like, hyper triggering probably for her, but she gets it together. And the fact that no one appreciates that is really killing me about this whole set. It's like the typical like mother's life we're watching. It's like no appreciation for literally anything. And she's quite literally saving lives. Like it's out of control.
I mean, it's basically the premise of Desperate Housewives.
Yeah.
So, because she literally entered the house after like having her breakdown crying with a smile on her face, a fake smile.
Back in, because it's performative for the love of her family. Like if she walked in sullen and sad, it takes the whole room down. She's not thinking about herself ever in any of these moments, except for the one time when she desperately begged her husband to go take her mother off her hands, and he was like, "Girl, no." Like that was like the one time she was like, I need you. I just selfishly need you to do this for me once. I don't get me wrong. She has other things she does that are a little too much, but this episode, justice for the moms.
So that was pretty much how the episode ended. Everybody was back at the party. Angela's, you know, talking to everybody with a smile on her face. Ricky's schmoozing with people.
Ricky's an old soul schmoozing with old people.
He looked fine. Yeah. Did he look fine? He looked fine.
Yeah, absolutely. He's like he was like holding his butt, eating the turkey.
That was you.
Free food? Hell yeah.
While he was eating the turkey, he thought it was delicious. How come?
Because that was the moment. He was like, it tastes like Italian, and the grandmother's like, oh, it's oregano. So she put it in anyway.
I can't. Oh my god, I can't. I freaking
The
can't. Wait, like,
full circle moment.
yeah, generational trauma. Can we all just say that? Underline it under 5 times. Generational trauma.
Oh my god.
Did I forget anything in this episode? You
No, that was it. The oregano sealed the deal.
So episode 11 is titled Life of Brian,
which now we have entered into
Brian's head. He's the
Brian's head.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is wild. I was like, oh, are we finally getting a little of something of anyone else except for Angela? No? Is that what's happening towards the end of the season? I mean,
I would have liked that if that would have been the concept of the show, if we would have got each character had a narration, like when it was like an episode centered around them.
Yeah, like a maybe a rotation. Like we get a little bit of Angela, then we get Brian, maybe get a little Rhiannon, a little Ricky. Yeah, that would be pretty cool.
We kind of do a little bit, but we haven't met Ricky's family yet, right?
No, Tino, I think is his cousin because I think they mentioned that
often,
but we never see Tino.
We'll never see Tino.
So, like no mom, no dad, no parental guardian unit person has been revealed yet. So
no, correct. Nobody has been revealed yet. Obviously Angela and her family dynamics is the main part of the story. I thought we would have entered a little bit more into Brian's life since he was neighbors, but Angela's disdain for him has kept that wall up. We just met Rhiannon's family. And not Susan, what's her best friend Sharon. We've been in Sharon's we've met Sharon's family when the dad had the heart attack.
Right.
So like we have been slowly entering into each and every character's family.
But now with their narration. Well, Angela's narration.
Well, yeah, correct.
Yeah.
So now this one is a little different because now we're entering into Brian's family and his head.
Yeah, and even though this essentially should be a Brian-centric episode, it wasn't. It was only like half a Brian episode.
Well, that's because Angela
but we didn't get her
still has to ick it.
Well, I thought she was fine.
It's her whole life. Gosh darn it.
No, this is her being
all right,
her true self.
Yeah, so let's get into it. So Sharon is still dating this football player who I don't know. They don't seem happy. I don't know why they're still dating.
Girl, dump him.
Also,
dump his ass.
The longest relationship ever.
Seriously, like get out of here. Dump him. He's not worth it.
She's organized the dance. What was it called? The
something with happiness.
Happy Earth dance or something.
Something with happiness. Like you know, it sounded really cheesy. Something that teens would be like, ew.
Yeah. I don't know if this guy's like a new guy in town, but there's this guy that catches the eye of Ricky, and he seems like he could be an artist or something. And we're kind of led to believe that
1990 what typical
he likes Ricky's vests. So he compliments it, and I guess we're kind of like,
is that it? Is that all it takes? Is that all it takes? Is a good vest?
I have
is that like on the list? Yeah, actually, I have tons of questions for you guys about how some of this stuff played out. Like what? Yeah, well, like what exactly is really right or wrong about any of it? Because like I kind of have like two minds about how it could be inappropriate and appropriate about like how everything played with that guy. Like, so once we get there, you guys give me a little insight on like
Rhiannon doesn't want to go to the dance. So apparently she must be seeing a counselor at school because of everything that happened.
Yeah.
Thank God.
She had a line where she mentioned 10 days sober, a dance doesn't really feel like the type of environment that, like, you know, it might be triggering because it's like a party environment. So probably gonna skip it or whatever.
Meanwhile, P.S. A high school dance where there should never be alcohol at, in her head,
But in
this is a triggering moment.
And TV, that it's like,
But you,
like,
yeah, well, you know, like these dances, you know, there's always going to be someone who's like in the parking lot, you know, smoozing, like, you know, or like whatever. But I think in the beginning when she talks about the counselor, she's kind of like making fun of her, saying like she kind of like fake cried, or she's lying to Ricky because she kind of doesn't. She say when she comes like, "Oh yeah," and like I burst into tears, you know,
but
like
maybe
this
she
stupid
did because
woman.
she tried to play it off like, I don't know what that was about. Like, so maybe she did, and she was just trying to
Exactly.
make light of
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
I feel like you're right. Now that now like with the later part where she references it again and she says like, well, I was like talking to counselor and they kind of thought maybe this wouldn't be an environment for me to go to.
I like how she says,
that.
I like how she's like, I'm 10 days clean. I'm so clean you could eat off of me.
And have you noticed how different she really is? Like her sober self versus like all others we've seen her where we're kind of like ambiguous on whether she's drunk or not.
I appreciated her trying to help Ricky. Her heart was in the right place.
So we're gonna, okay. So it's the 90s.
It's the 90s.
Would this be something, so would this be something that you would think like forcing Ricky out, or is this something that she's kind of like, he's not going to shoot his shot because he's too scared. I need to give him the push. Like, which one is it? Because I was like, I don't know. It feels a little too much pushing. Like,
I didn't feel like he was pushing Ricky out because I don't know. I almost feel like it's known that I think they said he's bi.
Yeah,
so I feel like people know, and at this point, because we've seen him get pushed around or whatever, so he obviously he gets bullied until Rayanne steps in front of him. It's like, you want to fight me? So it's like, you know, hang out with the cool popular girl that might stab you.
Right. Well, that's how you do it. That's how you do it. You hang out with the biggest and baddest, so they protect you.
I feel like Rayanne's the type of person that would just flat out ask him, like, hey, my friend likes you, do you want to date him?
Correct.
So that's why I was like, I appreciate what she's doing, but this is gonna be cringy if they show us what she does.
Right.
So now, just going back to the 90s, I think Rayanne, by just her asking flat out, that's her personality, hey, winky face, my friend likes you, that's what a good friend does because she loves him. But I think in the cringe part of it is not the characters, but the writing, because they didn't show it.
Right.
Okay.
That's the 90s. That's the 90s uncomfortable that I think you're
okay.
Okay.
Yeah, it was just the panic of Ricky that was making me think maybe this is going too far. Because if he's not ready, right? If there's other things in his life that this could potentially be a very big issue, like if maybe somebody doesn't know and they don't want it to be a very like, and he doesn't want it to be a wide, like he doesn't want to be like
outed.
Being someone is different, right? So that's what I was thinking. The panic that he put into it made me go, oh, maybe Rayanne just stepped a little too far, pushed too hard. Like it was the right thing to do for your friend, but is it the right thing to do for Ricky specifically?
But then at the same exact time, the amount of panic that he had, each and every character had the same panic when they were facing, I was going to say the opposite sex, which then just totally would negate everything that I said, when facing a love interest. Let me be correct in my...
Right. I mean, Angie does say that too. She does tell Ricky, because when Ricky's like freaking out, she's like, oh yes, I would never know anything about unrequited. Not me. I wouldn't know anything about that.
The car was red, if we forgot.
Yeah.
Oh my god. So Angela goes to Jordan after Rayanne tells him Jordan doesn't go to dances. And she's kind of hinting. And so when he was like, there's a dance going on, she's like, yeah, there's like signs all over school. I'm like, he can't read, idiot.
Stupid, self-centered, box-dyed, red hair, angsty teenager.
Oh, I forgot about the dyslexia thing, but then like that adds another layer of how awful that conversation is. Like it was already pretty bad if you took that out. Like if you took that out, oh my god. Oh my god. It
So
was horrible.
he's kind of like, I don't like to plan things. I like to just go with the flow. If I know people are going to be there, then I'll be there. He's like, I like to just see what happens. And she's like, yeah, no, totally. I got that. It's great.
Totally. That's it right there.
Oh my god.
And then
fast forward.
I didn't know what to take away from this because he gets in his car and she kind of just stands there. And then she's like, oh, I got to grab a book or something. I don't know.
I think it was assumed that he was going to drive her home to sneak a kiss or a little over the sweater action.
I don't know. I didn't know like if he was going to like drive her somewhere and she was like, oh, I should go. I don't know. I don't know what to take away from that. But it's
the whole point the whole time where she's like, well, he's like, all right, well, I'm gonna go now.
Yeah.
She's like, bye. Doesn't even say bye. And she's just like, okay.
She couldn't even like. There was nothing for her to cry about, so that she could force a hug at him, like she did when her friend's father had a heart attack.
So now, are we wrong? Am I wrong? I think I'm wrong. I'm not wrong. Are we? Is Jared's uncomfortable angst cool and hers? Why does hers piss me off? His should piss me off too. He's just as uncomfortable.
Maybe we'll get.
I feel like
an episode where we're
he's like
his head.
Oh, that would be great. Oh, please, can we? Because I would love to hear what the hell is going on up there.
Right.
But at the same time, I was thinking like the reason why it bothers you that it's angst because it's not true angst. She has nothing actually to be angsty over. Her family is good to her. Right. She has a home and easy going life. She doesn't appreciate it because it's all she's ever known. Jared, on the other hand, because I can't remember his name because he's never on the show,
Jordan
barely, except for Jordan
Catalano.
Jordan's angst is legit angst because he doesn't, for one, obviously hasn't gotten a proper education when he's young to help with his dyslexia and all that stuff. And like, obviously he's got something, we don't know what it is, but there's something messing around because he's in the bad cat crowd, right? Mm-hmm. He's got something real. And Angela does not. She's putting it on. It's all an act because she wants to be cool. That's all she wants. And that's why it's like gross.
So Angela says to Ricky, oh, maybe we should go to the dance together. They're like, because I kind of want to dance. And he's like, yeah, cool, whatever. And then the boy, can't remember his name, walks by and is like, oh, I'll see you at the dance tonight. And he's like, what? He's like, yeah. He's like, Rand didn't tell you the three of us are going to go. And he's like, oh, okay. So then he looks at Angela and he's like, I don't think we should go together because then it'll look like a double date and it'll look like you and I are together. And like, he's like, so she's like, okay, whatever. Meanwhile, there's a new girl in school. Sharon introduces her to Brian. She's kind of smitten with Brian. And through Brian's dialogue, he knows that he should be asking her to dance, or that's the expectation because clearly she likes him. And he shows up at her job like he's supposed to. Chicken's out on saying anything. I guess she's on her break because she comes out with a soda and she asks him if he wants.
Hold on. One of the things that I thought was very interesting that was in his head is that he thought he was the only special one that was receiving the smiles. And so he goes to the hamburger joint and he's pissed that she's smiling at everyone. And then she comes out and says, oh my goodness, I have to smile at everyone or else my boss is going to hate me. And so he files it in his head that it was okay. Like,
Yeah.
So then
that was rough. Like Yeah.
There's a car alarm going off.
Yeah.
It was an annoying car alarm. And then she asks him if he wants some of her drink, and he takes a sip, and their hands touch. And I think this is when he says,
Nope. It was the microscope.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but no, only because that was great.
Oh my god! Oh yeah.
He takes a sip, and I was like, if she's anything like Angela, she's a 15-year-old girl, she's gonna be like, oh my god, our lips touch the same thing. I'm never throwing a straw out. Like both of our lips were on this.
That's absolutely true. That's absolutely true. Come on.
I think she's a little bit more
sane,
self-confident.
Yeah, I thought she was super cute. Like the whole thing, like he was perfect. Like she was literally what would have been amazing for him, and he just like could not get it together. He was so close.
Well,
so then
for him, Angela's his Jordan Catalano. Like he just lusts.
Yeah,
he's gonna destroy everything in his path if he can get to Angela.
So we're missing a small story. The mother's insisting that the father take culinary classes while he's sitting at home doing nothing, putting up wallpaper, and Brian goes over and has this double entendre conversation with the father about the wallpaper, and the father's like, we're not talking about wallpaper, huh? Like, obviously the father
it was good though.
Yeah, that was a cute little moment.
Yeah, I love that.
Which was cute, but I will say I was a little disappointed because we did spend 3 seconds with Brian's mother's voice and the voiceover, 3 seconds with the father's voice and the voiceover. We didn't see them.
No.
I was a little sad by that.
I forgot what he said that they did. He's like, but basically both of them they agree on nothing.
Both of them were academia psychiatrists, psychologists that believed in 2 separate thoughts of theory of psychology, which is the opposite of each other, and they hate each other.
Oh my gosh, that's funny. And they're still together? That's cool.
Together. And he was like, in his bedroom, he's like, no, I'm so sick of Angela. I'm so sick of coming up with stupid ideas just to come to her house. Cut to, he's at her house. Hey, she has my atlas that she borrowed. She was actually supposed to return it in March. Like, just so you could like possibly see Angela for 3 hours.
I feel for him. I feel for him a lot of the time, and because like I've been there again. Unrequited love always will like make me feel some type of way, but the way he feels, so like the way his teenage boy cringifies it all in a way, kind of like as if like the only there's only thing to do is to get a girlfriend, and if it can be Angela, that's great, but if not, I need to get something going on. But if it's Angela, then I'll drop whatever it takes. And it's just like, dude, like it's the same thing with Angela. It's always kind of like you're so close to the answer, but then just completely blow by it like afterwards. Like you're so almost there.
So almost. Yeah. And I think that's what it is. That cliff hanging over the cliff is killing me.
Going back to the wallpaper with Brian and the dad, he had a line, it actually cracked me up, where he's like, he's like, you gotta line it up perfectly. He's like, because I have wallpaper in my bedroom. He's like, and it's slightly off in one spot. And he's like, and I stare at it all the time. And he's like, and it's actually kind of destroying me.
Yeah. Well, it's like that one off tile on the floor. You ever see those pictures where it's like all the patterns perfect?
Marigolds.
And then later the mom's like, you have to line it up. They're like,
line up the marigolds.
She's like, because we're always going to notice it.
See, like this, like those points are kind of where I can't be on the mom's side, because it's like, she's too pushy. Like she's pushing the dad to like
mom. She's just like
managing. Right. And like he's not ready. He needs to do it in his own time. He's doing something, and she's like acting as if like he needs something to do when he's actively doing something that's very hard. It's not like I can wallpaper, line it up, making it perfect is not easy. Like, so you know what I mean? Like, killing me.
So Brian is at school, and the new girl is there. I can't remember her name. She was cute though, and she's kind of hinting like, "Oh, are you gonna ask me to the dance? Because like, if you are, like, I have to take off of work. So if I'm gonna go to the dance with somebody, I need to know now, like, because I need somebody to cover my shift."
It was so cute, so front. Like, that's why I loved her, because she was so refreshing compared to everyone else. She's just up front, right up into his face, says like, hey, hey.
She definitely had power to herself. Her anxiety, even though her disappointment was, you know, a little bit later, her disappointment was noticeable, but she still put her chin up.
Mm-hmm.
But we
has
go back to the classroom and the microscope.
I guess that happened before he asked her. So he sees her in class by herself, I guess trying to catch up because she's behind. New. Yeah, because she's new. And he tries to run away because he gets scared, but she sees him.
Right. That's why, like, she's got power.
She doesn't know what she's looking at in the microscope, and he tells her because he's a brain. And their hands touch, and he's like, I think this is the first erection I've gotten from actual physical touch. And I was like, oh my God. I was
that
like,
well, at least it's inside thought.
I was like, maybe we shouldn't be in his brain.
At least it's an inside thought, right? Like, at least he didn't go, an erection, finally, from physical touch. Like, it said it out loud, because that would have been horrific. But, like, yes.
That really was absolutely, because that I am so sorry for my female friends out there, but yeah, that's what happened back then. Sorry.
Well, when it's like, when the only thing you've ever had is your own, I guess, touch. Anything is probably gonna be like, oh, okay, yeah. And you're raging with hormones. Teens at this time are like just to the top with hormones about all that.
We are total cavemen and cavewomen still at the beginning of puberty. Yes. You're the most, you know, ooga booga.
Oh yeah, just full impulse. Yes, nothing, just impulse, action, never too much thinking.
Sorry.
Yes.
So he kind of asks her to the dance, even though it's her kind of doing the asking, and he's just like, okay, and she's like, okay, and that's it. Mm-hmm. But then Angela wants to tag along.
No.
Didn't she want to get a ride from him?
It was based off of when she was talking to Ricky about him freaking out because the guy Gary or whatever is going to come with them and Rianne. Yeah. She thought, oh, that's a genius plan, because I want to go to the dance, but I don't want to go with a date because I want to dance with Jordan Catalano if he happens to be there. So she thinks, I could just go up to Brian. He's going with his buddy, or with her date, and then the next thing you know, he ends up, it's like she walks up to him and goes, I just want to ride basically to go with you. She explains the whole thing to him in excruciating detail about how she just wants a ride. She doesn't want to go with him. She just wants to ride logistically to the dance. Brian, on the other hand, turns all that off and thinks the entire time that Angela's like asking him in some roundabout way to the dance, even though she tried to, like, literally just set it up for being with the girl. I think her name's like Diana or something like that.
I don't remember, honestly. I hope she sticks around. I liked her.
See, now I
hope that's good.
I don't disagree with that part of it. I don't disagree with her saying that I just need a ride. I don't disagree with, like, she explained herself and Brian's, you know, testosterone didn't hear it kind of deal. But I really read her asking him is because he asked the other girl.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so Angela wanted to be a little, she just wanted to be a little rude about it.
It's possible.
I think it's both. I think it's subconsciously.
I think
like
the
down
motivation to ask him was because of her. A millisecond of jealousy, and I don't even want to call it jealousy because I don't even think she knows what it is. Like, I don't, I don't think she even understands it, because she, I truly believe that she does not have feelings for him. I truly believe that he's just the spooky, creepy little neighborhood boy kind of deal. But I also think that this is just the human dynamics on how she's aware. They are all aware. Like she knows that he is pining over her, and as much as she does not want the attention, she likes the attention.
Yeah.
I
It's
think
so messy.
that's why I hate her. This is why I'm struggling with her.
Oh, so messy. I hear you. I hear all of that. There's a part of
that part, and then everything that you said is the second part of it. For sure.
Yeah. I think, but because we're focused on the episode, like this episode is supposed to be like most of it's supposed to be for Brian. Mm-hmm. It's like I'm sitting there, like we're sitting there watching as an audience member, like how easy it is for someone to quite literally take a situation that they and then kind of manipulate themselves in like their bubble way, like
in his own head. My God, he
had the best for them.
He had this adorable girl. The second
perfect.
Second she saw him, it was on for her, and the idiot missed it.
Exactly. I mean, he even calls it out, like when he does go and tell her, like he tries to come up with some sort of excuse, right? Yeah. So like, but in his mind, he realizes like I never should have did this. Like it was a mistake from the top. He knew what he was doing was super wrong, but like he just couldn't stop from doing it.
He comes to that conclusion after he's kind of like left with nobody.
Left without anybody physically touching him to give him an erection.
And in some ways, it's almost like they, to lesser degrees, all act like Angela. Like Ricky doesn't want Angela to be there. He wants to shoot his shot with this guy. So it's like, I said we should go, but like, could we not? Because I don't want it to seem like a double date. And so now
they all
did it.
All betrayed each other.
They all betrayed for love interests. Yeah,
I also.
That's what happens in high school, though. Your friends will drop you like a potato the minute a cute guy would come around. You be done. Bye. I don't know you.
So first he tries to lie and say that he has some important plans that he forgot about. And I'm like, I was like, God help you if she ends up going to the dance anyway and she finds out you lied, it's just going to be bad. So she basically says, just tell me the truth. Like, go with who you want to go with. And he says, I think I'd rather go with the other girl. And I felt so bad for her in that moment. Ugh.
I felt horrible for her, but she was strong. All 4'11" of her.
He went on her.
She pulled that pony on the top of her head with that scrunchie to make herself taller.
Okay, let's give her her flowers. That girl is the cutest little thing ever in the entire world. She had this beautiful curly hair. She had the perfect 90s outfit. Oh my God, I hope she's doing something good because she was perfect.
She's in everything.
She's been in everything.
I liked when Brian went to pick up Angela and the parents were like, wow. And then like Angela came down in her dress and he was like, wow. And then he said that something happened with her aunt, so it's just the two of them going. I loved how later on
the parents
are like, they're gonna have a horrible time, and then just like cracking up laughing
because they knew.
She said, like, did you see her face when he said that she wasn't coming? And they both laughed with each other about it. Like, they're like,
but also before they got to that moment, the bedroom looks amazing. Graham did a great job wallpapering it. She's like, wow, a second thing you know how to do besides cook.
This was after when she forcibly signed him up for that class against his will.
Right.
So he's pissed. Rightfully so, pissed because she's like, again, inserting yourself too much in this scenario. Yeah. And then he goes upstairs and she discovers how great a job he did because, again, he's home to be able to do it, one. Right. Mm-hmm. And I thought it was kind of insulting to say that personally. Like, if I was already mad about something and you said that to me, like, oh, it's another thing you can do. Like,
I don't know. So Ricky is now there sitting on the bleachers having a great conversation with him, hanging out at the dance. Thinking he's on a date. I think pretty much. And the guy's like, oh, where's Rayanne? She's not coming. And he's like, Ricky's like, she didn't call you? And he's like, no. And he's like, it stinks because like, didn't he want to like show her something like his sneakers?
He wants her to know if she liked the sneakers, which was the universal. I'm not gay.
And then he just like leaves Ricky. I'm like, you were having a great time with Ricky. You don't want to hang out with him?
Is that all it takes? Is that all it takes? So anyone who just wants to make sure everybody, I'm heterosexual, I paint sneakers.
Yeah.
Just so you know.
And so then Ricky talks to Brian. Brian is being the worst at this point. And Brian's like, oh, don't come sit with me and Angela because, something might happen.
Something might happen. I'm not saying anything is going to happen. Something might happen. Might happen, but not happen.
We might want to dance. And then
I was rooting for him.
He goes to sit with Angela, and Angela's like, what did you say to Ricky? And he's like, I just told him like not to hang out with us. And she's like, that's my friend, fuck you. And I'm not gonna dance with you. And she like goes and hangs out with Ricky.
Yeah.
They Jordan's at the dance, by the way. I guess people he knew were gonna be there, so he just went with the flow.
Yeah. He just happened to show up and people were there that he knew. So it was perfect. He doesn't make plans.
So a moment that I know probably pissed you off. So when Jordan was like, yeah, I just go with the flow, I don't make plans, I'm just easy breezy. She was like, oh my God, that's like so amazing.
Then
Brian basically says the same thing, and she's like, that's the stupidest thing I've ever heard.
It did.
He literally said the same thing.
It's not lost on me. I hate her. I hate her.
I know. I do too. And what's so weird is I feel like I was kind of this girl in a way. I would never dare talk to my mother the way that she talks to her mother. That would consider I'd just be dead. I would not be existing. We would not be on this podcast. I would be dead in the backyard of some house. But it's not.
You'll be like,
so like
still dead, Dayna.
I'd be a zombie talking to you right now. But like but honestly, like sometimes I feel like I remember knowing like those crazy thoughts, like doing dumb things for dumb reasons, like because you like someone so much or you want to be so cool that you will do like the dumbest thing like ever, or keep talking endlessly about nothing. Just shut up, girl. Shut up.
So Ricky and Angela are outside, and she's kind of comforting him. They hug. It's cute. Jordan comes out with his friends. They're leaving. And then he stops, but he doesn't turn around.
He just like
I'm gonna will Angela to come to me. Just like standing here. And it works. Because Ricky's just like,
he knew it.
Ricky's like, go ahead. So she goes, and then she's doing the whole like, I'm gonna lean against this fence, be cool. And of course Brian comes out and sees this, and he's pissed because he's realized that it's not gonna happen. And I laughed because I wanted to know the answer also. Jordan basically was like, why do you do what you do? And then he leaves. He like walks away. She's like, what do I do? And I'm like, what did she do? What did she do? Like, I wanted to know the answer.
He knows. Listen, Jordan might not be book smart, but he's street smart.
Oh yeah. Like, well, there's no way he doesn't know that's like her walking up to him randomly and just verbal diarrheaing every single time she's near him. It's kind of like, can he not? He has to know that she's like at least crushing on him a little. Like,
I mean, they've
know her.
I think he is too cool for school, and he has a crush on her.
Oh, that would be wild.
During the parking lot scene where like he drove off, and
I would turn it all around.
I was like, well, at least she's not afraid to talk to him anymore. At least she like just goes up to him now.
I think well, the awkwardness is him, but I think he likes her.
So Brian finds Delia at the dance. He apologizes for how he handled everything. I think he kind of thinks that since she's there and not with anybody, that they could dance or whatever.
No,
yes. Sharon comes up like a good friend and is just like, oh my God, it's so good that you came by yourself. There's so many hot guys here. Let's go talk to all the hot guys. And she like pulls her away.
I hope she stays. I hope she gives Rayanne a firm for her money. Like, you want to know what a real queen is?
I hope she makes it awkward all the time.
Oh, hell yeah. I wish. I know. It's like Sharon also, like, literally served her up to Brian, like, this girl is for you. Like, here you go. And then Brian's like, but
so Ricky and Delia end up dancing. And at first I was like, wait, is Ricky about to vogue? The way he was like flipping his arms, I was like, is he about to just start voguing? And part of me was like, okay, girl, because she was looking at him very like, I don't know.
She was like, wait, what's going on? And
no, I felt like she was looking at him like, oh, he's cute. And I'm like, no, don't love the gay boy. Don't fall in love with the gay boy.
No, she's a smart girl. She's a smart girl.
Many hearts have been broken because girls have fallen in love with the gay boy. But I was like, but be best friends. We can go there.
I think the second she saw him dance, she's like, oh.
Yeah, I mean, Ricky is so beautiful, though. I mean, I wouldn't blame her. He's a very good-looking guy.
So Angela and Brian are on the sidelines, and they have a conversation, and his thoughts were almost as cringe as Angela's. Like when she was like, he had that one strand, maybe he's poor. He's like, what did he say? Her hair smelled like some dessert he had as a kid or something like that. And he's trying to be all cool and mad. And he's just like, he's like, it just smells so good. Like,
I forgot.
Like, even when she's trying to apologize to him about her being messy. Yeah. And he's just like, again, that's the hormones, man. It's like, he needs to get laid, unfortunately. And it will kind of drain.
She literally says, we could dance if you want. And this is his shot. This is his chance. And he's like, no, I don't really like to dance. And she's just like, yeah, me either. I'm like, you two fools.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
I don't think they'll never get together.
Yeah, I feel like they're going to end up together ultimately at the end of all this because, like, you know, he knows her, like, on a lot of different levels. And that's why she hates him. Because it's not like I think she doesn't want to be with him because like he is her past, quote unquote, but at the same time, like he sees beyond this facade that she's trying to portray herself to be, and that's why she can't deal with it. And he's also, again, he just wants a body, and that's it.
Just the touching of the hands.
But he'll drop whoever that body is if he thinks he has a shot with Angela.
Correct.
Because that's his Jordan Catalano.
Yeah, that's right.
So yeah, like I said in the beginning, I really like these two episodes. Angela didn't really get on my nerves the way she gets on your nerves.
And my nerves. I stand them. She's awful.
It was nice to not have her be the narrator for once.
Yes. Agreed.
So I hope that's a trend that continues.
Same. Because I want to know more about these people. Like, to me, it's like, okay, we got Angela. We understand. Who cares? But, like, she's a angsty teen who has literally no reason to be angsty. She has all the privilege that any white girl could ever ask for.
I can't even imagine what it would be like to be inside Rayanne's head or Jordan's.
It's probably super messy. Well, I don't know about Jordan's. Sometimes he could be a little vacant.
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah, nothing there. But Rayanne, I feel like would be incredibly sad. A part of me feels like there's a lot of insecurity there that probably stems from a lot of things. Like there's a reason why she went drinking. There's an escape that she is trying to run from something bad that's going on up in there.
Correct.
And
who knows? Even if they will even deal with any of that in any of the episodes, or if they would have if it continued. I don't know. I don't know if we're projecting a little too much. I don't know. I think they're going to probably talk about it, but in a they're going to walk up to it and then step away from it.
Yeah, we only have 8 episodes.
Literally,
so
like acknowledge it's there,
and then move on.
That's kind of how I feel about the whole drinking thing. It's kind of like we had a moment where she almost died. She obviously overdosed, like she too much everything. And then the very next episode, all we get are maybe 2 references about her going to counseling. And that's it.
As a joke.
Yeah.
And
I don't think we're done with that. I feel like
yeah.
her mentioning she's 10 days sober, I don't know. They could be setting up for a relapse at some point because you don't drink as heavily as she was drinking and not relapse. I'm sorry. I just feel like that's the reality.
Yeah, and she doesn't, and she's not her normal peppy, running around self. Like, she kind of just does a similar Rand thing, but at the same time, like, I would say she's literally running up and down the halls like, she was before. So
yeah.
And even
I think so.
at 10 days, I feel like you'd be, the way she was drinking, you'd be going through some kind of physical withdrawal at that point.
Well,
yeah,
it's still TV.
Still TV.
We're still TV.
Yeah, it's TV drinking.
Yeah.
Listen, TV drinking can't be. It needs to be glamorized to stop. If you glamorize, the truth, what is the? Well, yeah, I guess so. If you show the truth, you might not want to stop.
Right.
Yeah.
But
So, because we'll see.
Yeah.
She's young. They bounce back fast sometimes. Those young teens, they could just go, and yeah. But yeah, the episodes were definitely good. I just wish we went a little deeper in some. I feel like they warranted a lot of stuff they were talking about felt warranted to go a little deeper. But again, the time, like you're saying, the time of it makes. I agree with that sentiment 100%.
I really think that they thought they were being edgy.
Yeah.
By walking up to the line and then immediately walking away from it. I think
like cutting Ricky off, like right then and there. Like, no, actually, who we thought he was, he's actually not. And it's like, that's mess. That's wrong.
Yeah.
And then, like Karen tells me all the time, like they'll have gay characters in soaps, but they only get to hug. A very passionate, squeezing hug, and that's it. All we get. Nothing else. And it's kind of like, dang, that 2024 is calling, and I hate it.
But all right, well, thank you for joining us for another edition of My So-Called Life. As always, you can find us on all the socials at Queers and Soaps. And until next time, have a great night. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.